Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Haunted Hotspots for Grave Station TV. And I am at the Mercure hotel chain, the Shakespeare Inn in Stratford-upon-Avon, and I'm in the notorious haunted room of 203, and I thought I'd give you guys a bit of a tour around the place, well, in my room specifically, before I do my experiments. Not gonna lie, I don't really feel anything going on in this room, but then again, I'm not very sensitive to stuff like that, so it's a struggle for me, but that's why I've come in here anyway. So I wanted to see if anything goes on in this room. It's not a bad little room. I'll just swing you around, take a look at the lovely place. Don't mind stuff on the bed, but yeah, it's a beautiful little room. It's a very cosy room actually. I really do enjoy it. I've laid on the bed and everything, but yeah, it's I mean, it's only the one room there, but yeah, we got all the got the doorway, a few paintings going up on there. We've got a nice little storage cupboard as well. I'll be putting some of my stuff in there. So you got a heater if you need it, a fan if you need it. Yeah, I mean, this is the oldest part, I do believe, of the building. Jen, who brought me down here, is staying it on the other side, which is, I think, is a little bit more newer part of the building. Now these pictures seem to pop up everywhere of Queen Elizabeth I. Obviously, it was this is William Shakespeare's time, so you're going to see a lot of like Tudor. I mean, this is a Tudor building itself. I mean, you can take a look at the beams. I think this is probably the oldest building that I've actually slept in. So yeah, I mean, but whereas like with the Ram, I felt like there was like some sort of something hostile in that place. I'm not feeling an awful lot in this room, but then again, like I said, I'm not very susceptible to energies like that. I have to have someone with me who will say if they can feel something. So maybe I'm just a little bit shut off. Got the bathroom. I do apologise if it's a mess because I've just used it. Just had a lovely shower. The shower is amazing, I'm not gonna lie. It's like, yeah, it's a lovely, cosy place to stay in for a couple of nights. I mean, the bed is really comfy as well. TV, you could barely get anything, but I'm not here for the TV, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so that's basically the room I'm staying in. I'll just show you the front door, just to prove to you guys that I am in 203. So there you are, room 203. move this and grab my key just in case I lock myself out. See the whole way. Up and down here. It's very quiet down here at the moment. You get all the creaks and everything of the building because obviously it's quite a big building, and this is the stairwell I have to travel up and down to get my stuff up here. Not gonna lie, it is don't get terrified saying, oh my goodness, it's a scary room, it's a haunted room, because 9 times out of 10 nothing really happens in these rooms, so you've got to I'll take out the pinch of salt at the end of the day, like, because it was just stories at the end of the day. I mean, there's might be evidence that things have happened in these rooms. I mean, from what I can gather, so I've already given you the profile history of the room in just a moment, but from what I can gather is that you've had maids who have worked in here. They'd only do it in pairs. They'd only clean this room up in pairs because they've seen something in this room. They've come out with scratch marks and everything. Yeah, so they've had something in this room, so the people are very hesitant to actually come in this room on their own. So they must think I'm bloody mad coming in here and sleeping here for 3 nights on my own myself. But the only scary thing I have seen so far in this room is that I've got a pair of bloody stalkers over the road. Yeah. That is what I'm contending with right now. So, other than that, I'm going to just do a quick profile of the hotel. You'll see footage of the lobby and the quill room and where we eat our breakfast as well. And then I will get straight into the investigation and let you guys know what we found. Okay. The Shakespeare Hotel has a long and interesting history dating back to the 15th century. Earliest records reveal that the Southern Street Range, also known as the Five Gables, the right section at the front of the hotel furthest to the town hall, was built in the 1480s, some say by Hugh Clopton, who also built Shakespeare's now demolished new place just down Chapel Street and the famous Clopton Bridge. By 1637, the Shakespeare was 3 separate buildings, one of which adjoined the town hall and was the original Shakespeare Inn, which is generally known as the Four Gables. During the Civil War, an explosion damaged the old town hall, and it is thought that the neighbouring property, consisting of 2 houses, was also partly destroyed and was to be rebuilt by the Taylor family, who owned the site from at least 1637 until 1777. Around 1764, Mary Taylor leased the house adjoining the town hall to Thomas Ashwin, who became the first landlord of the Shakespeare. In 1778, Edward Johnson became licensee, and it was during his time that the first expansion of the inn took place, when he took over the rest of the Four Gables site. After only 4 years, the license was transferred to John Nichols, and it was during his tenancy that the first recorded name of the inn was found. An attractive fragment of coloured billhead survives with the inscription John Nichols at the Shakespeare, Stratford-upon-Avon, the first recorded exploitation of Shakespeare's name. Although the name may seem obvious one now, there were few literary visitors to Stratford at the time, and it represents one of the earliest exploitations of Stratford as a birthplace of the country's leading poet and playwright. William Bolton, at the age of 16 in 1787, had become the owner of the White Lion, and in 1795 Bolton purchased the freehold of the Shakespeare Inn and the lease of No. 5 Sheep Street, to ensure that the Shakespeare had a coach access. A coach house was then built at the rear of the Shakespeare Inn. At the age of 59, Bolton retired and leased the Shakespeare to Edward Leighton, who continued to bring the inn on. By the time the first directions were published from 1829, stagecoaches were stopping by. In 1824, Leighton acquired the lease of a large part of the Great Garden of New Place, which he used as a bowling green. During the 3-day celebrations of Shakespeare's birthday in 1830, a large pavilion was erected in the gardens by Leighton to accommodate public dinners and dances. During his time as landlord, Leighton decided to improve the hotel substantially and refronted the building with a uniform Regency Securo, moving the entrance and the building a handsome porticio out on the street. When he died, he was literally the proprietor of one of the town's leading inns. In 1849, William Bolton died and the freehold of the Shakespeare Inn passed to his son and then his grandson. The owner eventually had pretensions of reviving the traditional family business, but was one of the least successful hoteliers and was declared bankrupt in 1867. The hotel was then sold to Richard Martin Bird, who put in a new tenant, Benjamin Scriven. In 1870, the license was transferred to Charles Justin, the man who was to bring the Shakespeare to the peak of its reputation. He bought the freehold of the property in 1875, and 5 years later he took the lease for the northerly half of the property, known as the Five Gables. He then proceeded to buy the remaining sections of the hotel to restore them in 1888. In 1897, Justin died and his widow took over the running of the Shakespeare Inn, which she continued to do so until 1910, when her daughter, Anne Justin, one of Stratford's leading personalities and the town's first mayor, took over the running of the inn for her mother. By 1920, the restoration work was completed and Sir Frank Benson reopened the refurbished Shakespeare Inn. The hotel was then purchased by a Mr. Fairbanks Smith, who purchased it in an auction in 1919 for £54,000. He retired for health reasons and the Shakespeare then passed to a new manager, Mr. J.C. Higgins, who remained until the Trust House Fort purchased it in the 1960s. The Shakespeare was purchased by LRC in 2018 and today is managed by Amherst Hospitality under the worldwide Mercure banner. For many years there have been rumours of at least one ghost at the Shakespeare Hotel. There have been several sightings of a bearded man wearing a long brown cloak roaming the corridor outside room 203. People said they saw him quite clearly, but then he would vanish into thin air. There have been many guests and staff who have reported mysterious goings-on in room 203. A workman carrying out routine work left the room for 2 minutes, leaving his tools untidily in various parts of the room. Despite there being no one else around, when he returned the tools had been lined up together on the dressing table very tidily. An American guest who had come to Stratford by train left her return ticket by her bed whilst she was asleep. When she awoke, she found her ticket had been ripped into tiny pieces. Another lady was dreaming that she was being held down, and although she struggled, she couldn't get away. When she woke up, her right arm and side were bruised. She was very distressed and left immediately. Several other guests have checked out early, saying that they have sensed an unpleasant presence in the room. A few years ago, a clairvoyant stayed the night in the room in an effort to discover what the presence was. She quite clearly saw a young girl cowering in the corner of the room, looking very afraid. Her name was Lucinda. She had long blonde hair and was holding a cat. She was very unhappy and her father mistreated her. She died very young. The clairvoyant felt that Lucinda craved help and friendship and didn't want people to leave her or the room. So if you go into this room, be careful. I'm going to be spending the next 3 nights in room 203. And I'm wondering what I'm going to expect when I stay there for the next 3 nights.